Question for Trex from Logan. Logan asks, what is your opinion on mass gainers? I ask because I travel frequently for work, which makes bulking very difficult without eating a lot of junk. Currently, I eat relatively quote-unquote clean for all meals and consume a mass gainer to hit my calorie goal. So, Logan's consuming mass gainers, doing that instead of eating a bunch of junk food. What is your opinion on mass gainers in general? And in Logan's specific situation, does that seem like a pretty decent compromise?
Yeah, so mass gainers, I generally have a negative view of them. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily a problem. So if you want to go that route and use a mass gainer, that's totally fine. I just think that they have a reputation that's way better than they deserve. So I used to use mass gainers when I was in like high school. I really needed to gain weight for wrestling, and so I would eat a full breakfast, and then throughout my first class of the day, drink a mass gainer, which was like 1,000 calories. And then during my second class, I've always been the way I am in terms of just genuinely not caring about food. If you know my lasagna recipe, you know all about this. But when I was in high school, I would just bring plain pieces of bread to class and just eat slices of like Wonder Bread during class. But yeah, I've never really cared. It's always just like get the calories in. So if you're just trying to get the calories in, mass gainers are fine. But the reason I think that they get treated, they get more respect than they deserve is we're basically looking, when we look at a weight gainer, we're looking at a whey protein shake with just a really boring ass carbohydrate like maltodextrin just all over the place. So they're pretty much giving you, here's some whey protein and we got to get the calories from somewhere. So we're going to put a generally boring carb source in there just for the sake of energy. And so my approach to trying to gain weight is, why not just get a good whey protein and then just eat something really cool with it? So like, you mentioned in the question, you're trying to bulk without eating a lot of junk. I guess the disconnect between me and mass gainers is I don't see them as non-junk. I see it as a whey protein shake with a ton of just boring calories mixed in, but nothing particularly beneficial.
Yeah, and just so we're on the same page here, maltodextrin is, for all intents and purposes, sugar.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just a relatively short chain of D-glucose molecules, all linked together. Those are super easy bonds to break. I think that I think a lot of times people are too quick to label things as essentially sugar, but maltodextrin is essentially sugar. Like it's literally just glucose, probably within 10 minutes of hitting your stomach.
Right. Yeah. And so if someone were to tell me like, I'm going to switch from having a mass gainer to having whey protein and 2 candy bars, have I made a step down? Like, am I now eating junk where I used to be eating good food? I would say you're pretty much at the same place. We're talking about getting in whey protein with some amount of calories. And frankly, whether you're getting your calories from a candy bar, a Pop-Tart, or just a huge serving of maltodextrin, I don't really see those as being particularly different. And so, I've taught a bunch of beginning weight training classes. Greg, you have as well. A lot of times you'll get somebody who's like, I'm desperate to gain weight. What do I do? And I'm like, get enough protein throughout the day. Whey's a convenient way to do that. And just like eat a candy bar, drink a Mountain Dew, just whatever it takes. If you're really struggling to get in like some solid food, just go for whatever's easy to get down. And so I think for me, the thing that's interesting about weight gainers is people view them as being better than junk food. And I think it's just because supplements companies put their stamp of approval on it. And that's something you see, for instance, when people get really negative about artificial sweeteners, you'll see them talk a lot about diet sodas, but they won't worry about the fact, like, how come every fitness supplement I consume is sweet but doesn't have sugar in it? It's like, well, because there's just artificial sweeteners everywhere in it, right? But like, you'll see people demonize Diet Coke, but I very rarely see the the situation where people highlight the amount of artificial sweeteners in their amino acid product or their protein product.
Or like their pre-workout.
Or their pre-workout, yeah. So I think there's something about the fact that it comes from a fitness-oriented company that makes you feel like, okay, they wouldn't put anything out if it were junk food. But in reality, I don't see a huge difference when I look at a weight gainer versus a scoop of whey protein and like 6 Pop-Tarts. To me, they're pretty equivalent. But again, that doesn't mean that it's like inherently stupid to have a mass gainer. If that's convenient for you and you like the flavor of the mass gainer and it works for you, that's totally fine. You're not losing anything. But I think a lot of people are restricting their food choices unnecessarily, where they would be totally fine if they just got a pretty generic whey protein product and just ate whatever food they really, really love to eat, which is probably going to make them enjoy that process a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, for Logan's situation specifically, if he's traveling a lot, it kind of depends whether it's airport travel or not. Because if it is, like, you have issues bringing pretty much any kind of food with any water content through security. But, you know, if it's just like you're on the road a lot, like whey shakes and bananas are fine. You know, you can leave bananas in a hot car all day. I have done it many times. They're dirt cheap. There's probably going to be some sort of grocery store essentially anywhere you would travel to. It's cheap and quick to pick up some bananas. That would probably be a better option, just a whey shake and bananas, or really any kind of food you like. And if you're worried about it staying fresh, just like take a small cooler with you. Put like 1 or 2 little ice packs in the bottom, fill it up with fucking apples or oranges or whatever you want. That would probably be about as easy as a mass gainer, more nutritious and probably tastier too.
Yeah, and I kind of painted the picture of comparing a mass gainer to just junk food. The best case scenario would be you're also getting some nutrients in while you're doing this, right? So like you said, a banana, some fruit, whatever you want to take in. If you could get in some source of calories that also brings nutrients with it, that's great. Usually when people use these, it's on top of a base diet that has plenty of fruits and vegetables, and it's like, I just need the calories. And when people need the calories and they're struggling because their appetite is just totally shot, and they're like, how do I get calories in without feeling gross? Of course, weight gainers are a way to do that. It's totally fine. But I always like to make sure people realize, like, if you don't want the weight gainer, you could just have whey and like literally your favorite food.